meant to be back about 11 minutes ago and live. We hit a stumbling block. So anybody who was meant to be watching us live, we're really sorry. But we are back, so that's progress. In short, we will be moving to live format podcasts going forward because it considerably reduces the amount of editing time afterwards. So if things go wrong, they will just happen in real time and you will watch it all happen, apart from this mistake, which was the actual being live.
Yes, yeah. It will be, watch through, hopefully us not making fools of ourselves, but if we do,
yeah.
So
but going forward, you will just hear the live audio on our existing platforms like Spotify, Apple, Amazon, etc. So if you used to listen to us just in audio only, you'll still be able to do that, but you'll get it warts and all as well. We will not be editing post recording.
Brutal. So in terms of what you can expect from us, it's going to be album reviews, single reviews, EP reviews, gig reviews, maybe a little bit of new stuff if there's big stuff happening. But generally we will, that will be most of what we cover. It will be a huge range of things. It will be everything. It will be UK artists, it will be US artists, it will be Canadian artists, it will be Australian artists, it will be artists from wherever you like. It will be, mainstream people all the way down to independents, and basically if we like it, we're talking about it, essentially.
Yeah, we're not going to be only focusing on one area.
No, definitely not.
Some slight changes to our format is that we are going to time ourselves. We are going to have timers going off, so I'm sorry if that gets a bit annoying. But we know we talk too much and we need to condense these. So we're going to use this new, what can we cram into 2 minutes for each review format? Because
otherwise you're all going to be here till midnight and you'll just be exhausted.
Yeah. And also we have 3 podcast cats between us who free reign both of our houses, and therefore at some point along the way in the future months, I'm sure that they will jump up and make themselves known. But Neville and Luna live in my house.
And Connie lives in my house. So, yeah.
And we love our podcast cats, and occasionally we put them on Instagram.
We do. They are our mascots, yeah. They also have numbers. So, if we refer to sort of mascot number 1, then that's that Nev,
yeah.
I think? Yeah.
Yeah. I believe Neville was number 1 just because he was the first one to feature. And Connie came partway through when we used to do this last summer. So bless her, she's podcast cat 3. And Luna is the middle child. Anyway, shall we get started with some album reviews?
Yes, let's.
I believe you're timing me.
I am. All right. So timer starts now.
Okay, my album is Madeline Edwards' Crashlanded. What we didn't say is that this is anything that's come out since we last done a podcast, which made it really hard to choose. This album, Crashlanded, is her debut album. It is sparky, fun, introspective, observational. I love this album so much. It has a real variation of styles across the record. So there's some fun sing-along moments, and then there's some moments of like upbeat defiance, which I really like. And then this is mixed with kind of high and low tempo tracks that are a lot more introspective, a lot more reflective. She has an incredible way of telling stories, which I absolutely love. And what I really like about her is she has a really lovely tone to her voice. So I don't know, there's just something about her voice which is really quite unique that I really, really like. So 3 words I would use to describe this album are intelligent, sparky, and reflective. And my top 3 tracks are Mama, Dolly, Jesus for a sing-along, Hold My Horses for some powerful, fairly upbeat, but very honest, open songwriting, and Why I'm Calling, which is just a beautiful ballad that looks at life and long-distance family relationships and things like that. It's beautiful.
Is that it?
Yeah.
35 seconds left. Well done.
I'm good at this. It will go to part when I try and talk about Hardy in that length of time, but carry on.
Okay, so it's my turn. Ready?
Okay. Off you go.
Okay, so my first one is Ernest's Flower Shop's 2 Dozen Roses, which is the deluxe edition of his record Flower Shops that came out last year, which was, big critical hit. He's, written for basically everyone right now. And I will admit that I was a bit trepidatious going into this because I'm not a long albums person. I'm sort of the person who's like, no, give me 12, 15 tracks and I'm good. This is 24. And I hadn't heard the first one, so this was I was like, oh boy. But it's actually really good. I'm not going to talk about the sort of first 12 tracks or so because they've been out in the world for a while. People have had a chance to listen to them. So I'm going to focus on the bottom half of that album. I will say that I really like the humour in it. I think something like Drunk with My Friends, which has this kind of like Hawaiian style guitar, and this, and then Anything But Sober is, there's this bright melody, but the lyrics are quite dark and quite tongue-in-cheek. There's some really good like duet, like collaborations on this. Like What Have I Got to Lose? That's the rawness of that is such a gut punch, and Dean Dillon's voice works really well with Ernest. I'm also a very big fan of This Fire, which has got this sort of honky tonk feel about it. And then something like, Songs We Used to Sing, which really shows off the depth in his voice. And Hill as well, I think is a big standout for me. There's a real affection to that. And I like how he sort of calls back to his other tracks. It's that thing of, I have a thing I like artists who do the Easter egg thing. And I think so I would say if I had 3 words to describe this, it's intelligent, witty, and I'm going to go with retro. It feels very classic, which I like a lot. Am I done? Yeah.
Yeah, just tell us your 3 top tracks that will be on the playlist.
Great. Okay, so I hope I'm remembering these right. I think I'm trying to remember what I said now. Technical. Okay. All right. So I think I said Hill, Songs We Used to Sing, and I think Drunk With My Friends.
You got 2 out of 3. The other one you told me was This Fire.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's fine. We've done the playlist prep in advance, hence why Laura's like, what did I tell you?
And this was, the worrying list was like 3 days ago. So. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to try and do this again.
All right, starting now.
My second choice is Hardy's The Mockingbird and the Crow, which I think we can say was a hotly anticipated album from Hardy. The whole idea is that this is a tale of 2 halves showing the 2 biggest kind of musical influences for Hardy. The Mockingbird side is really country and the Crow side is rock, which was basically my diet of teenage music. So it's great. I like both halves, but I do like Crow more, I can't lie. Mockingbird, as expected, much more country, but it's still a very good album across the board. It's written really well. He always saves his best writing for himself, I think, and that's, again, clear here. I quite like tracks from that, such as Happy and Here Lies Country Music, and obviously Wait in the Truck, which I think we talked about on one of our old episodes when we did this last year with Lainey Wilson, is amazing. Then you come to Crow, which I adore. There's a lot of Linkin Park, Avenged Sevenfold, and Slipknot influences that I feel it in there. There is a duet with Jeremy McKinnon from, I've forgotten the name of that band. He's in a rock band. A Day to Remember, maybe?
Yes.
That's it. But anyway, that's called Radio Song. That is fabulous. It's a real stab at the industry, actually, about I'm just meant to write these tracks that fit all these boxes kind of thing. Even though there's 2 sides to it, it feels fully authentic throughout. And I love rocking out to the Crow half of this in the car. I've driven to it so much recently. I would say the 3 words I'd describe it are heavy, clever, and observant. And my top tracks, this was so hard. Laura saw me deliberating about this for ages. But I've picked Drink One For Me from the Mockingbird side, which is a kind of follow-up from not Truck Bed. What was it called on the first album?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember. There's one about his friend dying on the first album. That's kind of like a follow-up anyway. And then I picked Jack and Radio Song from the other 2, but from the other side, from Crow. But I could have picked any of those Crow tracks, if I'm honest. So it was really hard. I love Sold Out. I love I Ain't in the Country No More.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, we did go slightly over, but because it's Hardy, we'll allow it. And the song is called, when I can get into the album, Talking about yourself, Give Heaven Some Hell.
Give Heaven Some Hell, that's it, not Truck Bed. That's on this album. But yeah, it's a follow-up. Drink One For Me is a follow-up to Give Heaven Some Hell.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's move on.
Okay, my turn. Right.
My phone has locked. I can't get to the timer.
Oh dear, how's that?
Okay, go.
Yeah, right. So my last one is Dierks Bentley's Gravel and Gold, which is actually probably our newest one I'm going to talk about. So I think it's only been out 2 weeks. But I really like this. I will say, if you're a Dierks Bentley fan, you will like it, because there is an argument made that yes, he's basically made the same record again and again and again since Riser, but I actually don't think he has. I think he's really grown with this, and it has been like quite a long time since he's put stuff out. So I think he could have. It's very easy for an artist to fall back on that, and there are a lot of those familiar sounds, like something like Same On Me, which has that kind of stompy drive-in thing of, you know, that's kind of quite a typical Dierks sound. But then you'll get something like Still, which is more kind of introspective and more mellow and quite sort of, you know, wistful, and there's lots of twang in it, and then this big anthemic chorus. You'll also get one of my other top 3 songs as well as Still, which is Cowboy Boots, which is his duet with Ashley McBryde. I mean, we were always going to put, you know, it's an unspoken rule of this podcast that anything that involves Ashley McBryde will basically go in it. You know, we've said on Twitter before, we're an Ashley McBryde stan account faintly disguised as a podcast, and we make no bones about that.
Yeah,
but I really love that as well. There's some really good wordplay in it. Their vocals blend really well together. It's quite nice to see a sort of more, I don't know if it's a subdued side of both of them, but again, that really nice vibe about it. And then the other track I love is Walking Each Other Home. You know, this really sort of heartfelt, big, soaring chorus, kind of about all the sort of influences you take from various bits of your life, everything from the books you read to ex-partners, all sorts of things.
Just
so if I had 3,
sorry.
Yeah? Okay, can I do my 3 words for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Punchy, diverse, fun. Let's say that. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the last one?
So punchy, diverse. I did say fun, but I'm actually going to change it to entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah. I also think it'll be a great live record.
What tracks did you pick?
So I picked, which I've talked about already, Cowboy Boots, Still, and Walking Each Other Home. But
I have listened to this album as well. Good, solid choices.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
We are moving on to EPs now, so we'll only pick 2 tracks from these, because obviously there's a smaller selection on the album.
Although I'm slightly cheating at mine, and we've had a conversation about this.
Oh yeah, except Laura picked 3, but we'll go into why in a minute.
Yeah. All right. So are you going first on this one again, or is it me? Okay. All right. Go.
I have picked May Estes Before the Record EP. I am so excited about this. I first found May Estes on a Song Suffragettes live stream. We've talked about Song Suffragettes before. It's a women's only writers round. Was in Nashville, now in London on a monthly basis. We will link more details of that below because we've not got time. Saw her there in October of 2020, and she played a song called Hell You Raised, and I was like, that's amazing. She released it the following year. Another song she played on that live stream was Town Left Me, which is actually on this EP. And ever since then, I was like, I really like this lady. So I've been seeing her like plug away for the past almost 3 years. And she finally brought out her first EP. So I'm so happy because she is so good. She also has an amazing song called Roses, which didn't make the EP, which is so funny. She has a willingness to write exactly how she feels and just not hold back. There's actually a song about thinking about cheating on this record, so she definitely does not hold back on her emotions and her vulnerability and things like that. But she also has a really sassy side as well, and it's not all just heart on your sleeve, slow type stuff. And I think that's what sets her apart, is the fact that she is just so open. She is just a complete open book. But she has kind of like this rockier element to her that brings the sass side of it and makes some of these more upbeat songs really fun and stompy and things like that. So my 3 words for her would be honest, soulful, and sassy. And my top 2 tracks from this EP are, it's between Town Left Me and Run and Your Hands. But Town Left Me was featured in our New Music Monday, and we will come to why I have picked Run instead, based on what's happening with our New Music Monday feature now, and we'll come to that later.
We will talk about that shortly. And that is time. All right. So my EP, when we're ready to start.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Right. Go.
Okay, so my EP is also a very new one. This is Kelsea Ballerini's Rolling Up the Welcome Mat. So basically, unless you've been living under a rock for about the last 6 months, I think it's fair to use the word fallout in this context of Kelsea Ballerini and Morgan Evans's divorce. We're not going to speculate on what's kind of gone on in that, but they've both used their music to communicate a feeling about it. And Kelsea dropped a 6-song EP, well, 5 songs and an interlude, but tapes are, on Valentine's Day, essentially saying, this is, my side of the story. I will admit that I'm biased here because I've had a similar experience to her, but if you've been through like a divorce or the breakup of a long-term relationship or even just a really intense breakup, this is a gut punch of an EP. It conveys everything so brilliantly, and that fear and that tension and that pressure of trying to hold it together so well. It's very oh no it's fine, it's not your fault, I waffled. This is going to be a problem.
You've still got time, keep going.
Okay, right, yeah, but it really conveys all those turbulent mixed emotions of a breakup and the roller coaster of that, and it does it so well. And it's a lot more, she's written a lot of it herself, it's a lot more piano, like it's a lot more acoustic and a lot more country sounding than her previous stuff, but the writing is what really stands out. I think she wrote 3 tracks on it by herself, and then she had collaborators with the others. So I would say with this, it's raw, emotional, and I'm going to say healing. I think it's if you've been through something similar, you will recognize a lot of yourself in this, and it's something that you can connect to.
Time. What's your track?
3 tracks: Mountain with a View, Blindsided, and I think it said Penthouse. No, I didn't say Blindsided. I said Leave Me Again.
Yeah, Mountain with View, Penthouse, and Leave Me Again.
Yeah,
we went for 3 tracks on this one because we were both like, Laura was trying to pick and we were just like, you can't pick 2, it's impossible.
Yeah. It's like what do you want? What do I give? I mean, giving up Blindsided was hard enough, but like
yeah so
we're gonna set the whole EP. But anyway,
we will talk about Kelsea Ballerini again a little bit later in the gig review, because we got to see Leave Me Again played live for the first time last week. Yes, so that was an amazing gig. Okay, singles. Let's keep going.
Yes. Okay. You're starting again? Okay. 1 second. Get in. Okay, go.
My single choice is Kezia Gill's Whiskey Over Ice. So Kezia Gill is a UK artist. She's been around on the scene for quite a long time now. She is one of our kind of greatest talents on the scene, I would say, at the minute. I don't really know where to start with this track. It's incredible. The songwriting is brilliant, but where I think she really shines on this track is the like her voice. Her voice just stands out so much in this. It's like a smooth whiskey, for want of a terrible cliche, but it just drips with soul and feeling and authenticity. And she's not a UK act trying to pretend to be an American act. She is very much just, this is the kind of music I make, and it's kind of mainly country, but it leans soul, it leans blues and whatever. Take it as it is. And she's just incredibly talented. And the song is romantic, it's full of passion and huge vocal movements in places. She's released 2 singles recently, this one and another one at the end of last year. And I'm hoping that this is because there's an album on the way, but she's doing a lot of festivals and stuff over the summer. And complete change of gear, but Podcast Cat 3's arrived. Hello, Connie.
Yeah. You've still got 40 seconds.
What did you say, sorry?
You've still got time. Keep going.
I don't have anything else to say. It's just a really good track. Hi, Connie.
She's trying to drink my water.
This is the kind of ad-lib content you will be subjected to when you watch our live streams. Us getting upstaged by our cats. It's like lockdown office meetings all over again.
She's decided she's going to go and try and sit on the sewing chair at the other end of the table. So she may come back.
You do you, Connie.
And that is time after we spent a good 20 seconds about talking about my cat.
That's fine. Sorry, Kezia Gill. Some of your time got used for talking about a cat.
Hey, she'll understand, I'm sure. Okay, so.
And go.
All right, so my first one is somebody who has been on the day we are recording this, and possibly the day you are watching this, very much in the news. It is Bryan, who just announced that he's coming to the UK. There is going to be a huge fun fight for those tickets, but it'll be worth it. And I'm going to talk about, he said this is not really a country song. So this is Dawn's, which is his song with Maggie Rogers, and I really like this. It's got this kind of, it really sort of switches gears, which is something I always like, oi. Yeah.
Hello, Connie. Carry on.
We're going to have a lot of this, folks. Yeah, it has this real gear switch. So it has this sort of, not on the laptop, please. Because you know there's going to be a second where she'd cut off the call. Anyway, yeah, so it has this really sort of sparse, haunting start to it. And then it kind of builds into this big, rocky chorus. I think his harmonies with Maggie on it are really good. There's a real rawness to the vocal. There is just, and this kind of really emotional, powerful thing. Like you think it's going to go one way, and then it goes lyrically, it goes another. Which is something that Bryan does quite a lot. And sometimes that's where, will very much switch it up on you, and in the best possible way. I just really, really like it. I think it's a really well crafted song. And I think it's something that's, it's going to be, when he plays it live, it's going to go nuts. And I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think if you want an intro to Bryan and you're not understanding what the hype is, listen to that, basically.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So,
you had 8 seconds left too, even with a Connie interruption.
Excellent. Yeah. She's now gone to go and sit on her well, I bought it was advertised as a jukebox. It's actually a pinball machine, scratch box / ball thing. So if there's weird scratching noises and rattling, that's what that is. Okay, your next single, starting now.
I have picked Ian Munsick's River Run, which is the second, I think it is, of the singles from his upcoming album. Came out a few weeks ago. I am obsessed with this song. I have listened to it so much. It's got beautiful storytelling. It feels like one of those long lost mountain tales of love, kind of unrequited love, I guess. And there's a freedom and a wildness to it, because in the story the lady in the story leaves, and it's just about kind of someone with a real wild spirit. It's got some lovely banjo and fiddle in it, and I was going to say it shows off his well-known fiddle playing skills, and then I looked it up, and actually he's the one playing a banjo, someone else is playing the fiddle, but he does mainly play the fiddle. So if you see him live or anything, that's what you'll see him playing, probably guitar and banjo and whatever too. He has a really quite high voice for a man. It's tenor range, but it's really beautiful, and it's quite a unique sound. So if you listen to it, it really stands out amongst the crowd of other male voices in the industry at the moment. And the album artwork is, again, pretty let's just say Laura and I are not necessarily fans of the album artwork. It's an interesting one. To be fair, this one's not too bad. It's just him running through a field.
Yeah.
There's one that looks like the kind of wolf t-shirts you buy on the local market, which is quite entertaining. But it's from his upcoming album, White Buffalo, which I think I remember seeing the artwork and it is better.
Yes.
But it comes out in April, and I am literally obsessed with how pretty this song is.
I love Ian Munsick. I think he's really good. Like I was obsessed with his first album.
I loved it. And I know it's such a cliche because of the whole guy on the TikTok with the drinking cranberry juice, but he did a cover of Dreams on that first album. And Rumours is one of my favourite albums of all time. And it upsets me when people cover it badly because I'm a snob. But that cover of Dreams is fantastic.
Yeah, great. Okay, we are just over, but to be fair, I did take up like 8 seconds of yours, so it's fine. We'll allow it.
We're not going to argue too much over seconds.
No.
Okay,
right.
You have one more to go. What is your next one? And go.
Okay, so my next one is Megan Moroney, who, for those of you who've been keeping an eye on festival lineup announcements, is coming to the Long Road in August, which I'm very excited about because I was a huge fan of her song Tennessee Orange, which is kind of about her, like, you know, she's a Georgia girl and then she meets this boy who's like a Tennessee, and I thought, how I'm going to bring him back to the family and tell him I'm like, yeah, I root for the Vols now. But this is fun. Like, so her new single is called I'm Not Pretty, and it's a really, like, what I love about this is it's clever. Like, it's essentially got this very there's a sort of like a sultry quality to it, and it's quite playful and it's quite tongue-in-cheek, and then it kind of starts off with this whole, like, there's a bit of slide guitar and you think it's going to go one way, you think it's about, you know, the ex-boyfriend following, you know, watching what you're up to on your social media, and then it twists and you realize it's his new girlfriend. And I love that. I think it's one of those things where it's one of those things that I think country music does really well, where it feels like quite a specific scenario, but it takes it and it applies to something useful. Like, we've all, you know, either had, like, been that person or had that person who unwittingly liked something we posted in like 2015, and it was like, oh wait, yeah, someone's been digging. But it's just, yeah, but the way she delivers it is just this, yeah, there's this real sass, and, you know, again, it's this playful quality and this sort of brush off thing, which I think she's been very good at on her other stuff. On her Pistol Full of Roses EP, she's got a couple of tracks like this, and I think it's just, I'm going to say this now, that I think she's going to be the Priscilla Block of Long Road this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that is time.
Yeah.
I think we're doing pretty well so far.
Doing all right, yeah.
Right, New Music Monday. I mentioned this briefly with the May Estes album. So we have started doing this properly on a Monday on our channels on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Info about how to find them coming later. But we are picking 3 songs each, and we're doing it on a Monday, not Friday, because we are not in a position to be listening to these tracks in advance. So we can't, quite frankly, get our crap together to get it all done in one day. So we're going to take each weekend to listen to stuff and then post about it the following Monday. So it's good if you're going back to the office, you've got something to listen to. Start your week off. We are just going to quickly run down all of the stuff that has been on there so far, and you will find this on our playlist, which I will mention in a second. Ian Munsick is back again with Dig, May Estes, Town Left Me, Nate Smith's Better Boy, Tennille Arts featuring Maddie and Tay, Last Time Last. This one was great. The Cadillac 3, LV Shane, and Ketch Secor from Old Crow Medicine Show, I hope I said his surname right, released a track called Hillbilly. Carly Scott Collins released Petty in the 80s. Connor Smith's Creek Will Rise. Cassie Ashton's Drive You Out of My Mind. Tennille Towns featuring Bryan Adams are with The Things That Wreck You. No, The Thing That Wrecks You. I always get that wrong. Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit are back with Death Wish. Cameron Marlowe's Take Me Home voice note version. And the Queen herself, Ashley McBryde, Light On in the Kitchen. So if you're wondering, like, oh, well, these big singles came out and you've not mentioned them, it's because they've been featured on New Music Monday, and we are condensing how much we feature on the podcast each time because it was going on too long. So now we're doing New Music Monday to kind of make up for that. We have Spotify playlist and an Apple playlist. Search Country Monthly playlist on either of them and you will find it. So each week we put the New Music Monday singles on the playlists. So you'll still get about the same amount of content each month on that playlist. Just not everything will be featured on the podcast. And because we had so much to catch up on in the last few months, we actually made a secondary playlist, which we will be no longer updating, but it's 80 tracks.
Yeah.
From about November until now, that we would have loved to have featured them. And if we'd have done all of the episodes between November and now, we would have featured some of these. But this is a Spotify only playlist called Country Monthly Almost Made It. I'm sorry to people who feel like they just got the wooden spoon prize by only being on there. We just didn't want to gloss over it completely, and this was the easiest way to share all the songs we liked with you. Yeah. So there is that. And then tracks from all the albums, EPs and singles that we have mentioned in this episode will go onto that playlist tonight if I get time, if not tomorrow. So that will semi-constantly have new music for you to find on there.
Okay, so
gigs?
Yes, gigs.
We're going to try gigs without a timer.
Yes.
We may have to go back to timers next episode. We'll see how long this goes.
Yeah.
It's currently 20 to 9. Let's see if we can wrap this all up in 20 minutes.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So I'm doing the first one, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, both of us went to this, but at different places.
We did.
Yes. So this is Brett Young's tour here in November. So I saw him at Shepherd's Bush Empire, and you saw him in Cambridge.
Cambridge Corn Exchange, yes.
Yes. Well, yeah. I was going to say Corn Exchange. Yeah. I mean, I will be honest. I sobbed the whole way through Brett Young's C to C set, and I sobbed the whole way through this. That man knows how to write a heartbreak song. I tell you that now.
He is very good at heartbreak.
He is very good at heartbreak songs. Like, I mean, and you know, there's sort of like, I know that boyfriend country gets used as a derogatory term, but he's probably the epitome of the best way to do it, in that he can write a really gorgeous love song like Lady for his wife, and then he can write one of my standout songs from that show, You Didn't, which is properly like rip your heart out, raw, emotional, just so good. Yeah. And just a really lovely bloke as well, and very sort of, it's a very kind of slick show, but it always has this feeling of being very organic as well, which I really, really enjoyed. So I'd say, so yeah, as I mentioned, You Didn't was my standout song, and then the other one was Ticket to LA, which is a little bit more light-hearted and a little bit more, there's a lot of storytelling in that, which I really like. I think he's very good with his more upbeat songs in particular. He's quite good at doing that, and it's quite easy for us to just go, we're just going to make this about trucks and beer and girls. And I don't think he's like, I mean, the day Brett Young releases the trucks and beer and girls song is the day pigs fly, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine it. It's like,
the only thing I'd say is the girls feature a lot.
Girls,
just not the trucks and beer.
Maybe not in the sort of trucks and beer and girls context. It's more
That's
in
true,
the,
actually. It is a different
Or if it is, it's more in a, we're going to have a nice romantic evening by the lake, as opposed to,
yeah.
You won't be able to see this kind of doing face, but it's kind of like, it's less like, you know, girl in a country song, beer and trucks and girls, for want of a better way to put it. Yeah. And then, so those are my two standout tracks. And then he was also supported by Callista Clark, who we've both seen previously, I think, at C2C and obviously on this tour. And she is, I really like her. She's quite poppy. But I think her writing is a lot more mature than her age would be like. I don't think she either just turned 19 or she's not quite 19. Yeah, so she's a baby. Like, but she writes so well, and she writes kind of, and does have that very thing of, a big thread through her stuff is just because I'm a teenager doesn't mean I don't have these, feelings, which, but the standout track for me is one of her more upbeat and playful ones, which is Sad, so it's basically like a why am I not bothered about this breakup song, and there's a real sass and a swagger and a tongue-in-cheekness to it, and I think she does do all those big ballads, but I think I like seeing her fun side as well. So that was the standout for me, for her. Yeah.
Also in November last year, I went to see Kezia Gill, so we're back to Kezia. She was supported by a guy called Bryan Collins and his guitarist, who was called Rockwell James, I think was his surname, but I will correct it in the notes if it wasn't that. Firstly, Rockwell was one of the best guitarists I've ever seen. He had like a real classical guitar element to him. Very, very good. Bryan Collins was a lot of fun. He was very witty. He was very warm. Most people in that room had never even heard of who he was before they saw his name listed. And again, not many of us had done our homework, let's be honest. But that's fine. You shouldn't have to go to a gig having done your homework. But I think he really surprised everybody with just how brilliant he was. He hasn't had a single out for a little while, so a lot of the stuff that he was playing was kind of some of his older material. But I'd say, in the nicest way, he was definitely not in his early 20s, let's put it that way. He was a little older. And I think he brings a maturity to it in the way that Ashley McBryde brought, because she started out when she was in her mid-30s. She didn't start out. She hit the mainstream at that point. And the kind of more recent Carly Pearce, Kelsea Ballerini, where they're in their late 20s, early 30s now, so they've got more life experience and things like that. So I really liked the fact that there was a lot more substance. And I'm not saying that the likes of Callista Clark, etc., don't have substance, but it's a different period of your life, isn't it? So he also has a new single coming out on Friday, and I'm really excited about that. And I didn't know this at the time that I picked to review this gig. So that will be well worth checking out. It's called The Finer Things. But I really liked his song Shine a Little Love when we were at the gig. Kezia was amazing from start to finish. I can't say much more about it apart from it was sensational. It was a really small venue. She packed it out. We were in there like sardines, but it was so, so good. Her band are fantastic. We had some really fun, upbeat moments like Country Song, and she played Whiskey Over Ice for the first time, which was, I think it was the first time. But anyway, that's a much more upbeat song. It was lots and lots of fun. But then she also could completely switch it up. We had some really emotional moments where the whole crowd was just stood there, silent, mesmerized by her. Like I Did Before, which was her other single previous to Whiskey Over Ice, is a really emotional song, so that happened then. And also she sung one of her songs called I'm Here, which is one of the most beautiful songs about supporting friends through difficult times, really. And yeah, everybody was just silent and watching her in awe. It was amazing. I don't think we will ever get a chance to see her in such a small venue again. Her star is definitely on the rise. And I think we were just really, really lucky to see her. Anybody who saw her on that tour saw her in fairly small venues, from what I know. I just don't think she'll play small venues again, because I think she is really, really taking off. So that was great fun. Lovely night. Took my mum. Mum is now a big Kezia Gill fan.
Excellent.
And Kezia Gill is performing at both C2C and Long Road. So if you're going to any of them, you'll be able to catch her there.
Yeah, she's well worth it. We saw her at Songwriters in Country Music Week, and she was fab. So
yeah. You had like big names like Matt Stell and Caitlin Smith sat next to her being like, whoa, this lady can sing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, so my next one was December, so this was my last gig of 2022, and it was Billy Strings, who is more bluegrass, I would say, than kind of mainstream country, but attracts a really cult following. Like, I have never seen a more committed crowd, seriously. Like, they will come from Europe, they will come from the US, they are really dedicated to him, and you will watch and you will see like people get so into his shows, and there's good reason, because that man is, absolute fire with a banjo. Like, the speed at which he plays, it's just, you can't you're somebody where it's like you cannot compute. That is a human being like just going completely crazy. And he's had quite a he's had a lot of challenges in his early life in particular, and he puts that into his songs really well. Something like Dust in a Baggie, which is one of his big hits. We've got that on our playlist from, I think, when I've talked about him before in a previous podcast. But he's just, and that has really good energy. But then when you actually dig into the lyrics, it's like, this is quite full on. And I just think but he really can hold an audience. Like, he did 2 sets, so he didn't have a support band, it was just him. And it was literally like the crowd in the palm of his hand the entire time. There's so much atmosphere and like rattling along and really throwing himself into the performance. Like, he's spinning around on the stage, he's tossing his hair, he's like really fully into it in a way there's not many artists that you will see get to that level, and the fans are feeding off it, and it's just a really, really good night. There's classic rock touches in there. There's it's just a fab show. So I think my standouts probably were John Henry and Know It All. But honestly, it's one of those shows where you almost don't even need to know what song it is. You can just sit there and be immersed and let it and just go with it, and you will have a really, really good evening. I really recommend seeing him live.
Oh, I'm kind of jealous that you saw him.
He's so good. Genuinely, I really hope that he comes back.
Yeah. He just sold out 2 straight nights at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, immediately followed by a night at the Ryman. Complete sellout shows.
And so he was at Kensington Town Forum, and I think he's genuinely going to have to end up in the Apollo because it's sold so quick.
I remember my friend trying to get tickets for a mutual friend of ours, and she was just like, they just went.
But very worth it.
Okay, Kane Brown.
Yes. So my first gig of 2023 was Kane Brown at the Apollo in London.
Can we just take a minute for the gear change?
Yeah, just a bit. Like from NGU with Billy Strings and starting with Kane Brown is quite the switch. This was the second time I'd seen him. I saw him when he played again at Kensington Town Forum, which I think was it was like spring of 2021. I can't remember.
I thought it was pre-pandemic.
Maybe it was pre-pandemic. It might have been.
I thought it was like January or February time the year before.
Yeah, I'm possibly getting confused here. It's been a long time we didn't have any gigs. Saw him there. Great show. Took it to the Apollo, and again, he's such a showman. Like, in terms of the way that he moves around on stage, how he sort of interacts with the audience, really engaging to watch, and just a lot of fun essentially. And again, a very different from Billy Strings, but if you want kind of to go and be entertained and have that kind of more, he's got quite a lot of wider influences. He's got quite a lot of hip hop influences, a little bit of rock stuff, and I think the stuff that he's put out on his last album, Different Man, is the best he's done. But it's just that was more like if literally this 2 hours and sit and go with it, this is 2 hours of pure entertainment, and it's relentless and it doesn't stop. So my tracks for that were I'm gonna I love country music, which is just one of those classic kind of 90s style, it's so good. Like, it's really fun, and it's got loads of these classic country references. There is I won't give it away because if you haven't heard it, but the album version has a special guest appearance by a very big 90s country star on it.
That's it?
Yeah.
I've not heard the album, but I'm going to have to go listen to that.
Funny Dunn, yeah.
Funny Dunn features on it.
Because there's a Brooks and Dunn, there's a reference to...
There is a reference to Brooks. Oh, that's amazing.
Reference, and then he randomly popped up on it, and I was like, hang on. So,
amazing. We've just completely given that away, sorry, because I had no idea. But...
This album's been out for about almost a year now, so if you haven't heard it, you probably are aware of this.
Just didn't listen to the Kane Brown album, okay?
Yeah. And then the other song, and I feel this is cheap because he didn't actually play it, but it's my favorite Kane Brown song, and I'm sad he didn't play it. It's Whiskey Sour. It's very different for him. It's quite acousticy, and
he didn't play Whiskey Sour.
He did not play Whiskey Sour, and I was very sad.
I'm really thrown by that. Like, that's one of his biggest hits.
Yeah, he gave an interview before, I can't remember who to, where he basically said, I want this to be a fun set, a party set. And I'm like,
oh, okay, yeah, it's not a party song.
But it's really good. You know, can we not just have 3 minutes of you and a guitar and, you know, but no, but the introspectiveness that I really like, and the storytelling and the details in it again. You know, the reference to the church off 40 West and things like that. I always loved that sort of stuff in a country song. So that was that. And then he was supported by Restless Road, who they're a trio of brothers. I think not brothers, friends. They started on The Voice, I think, and they started as individuals, and then they were put together into a band.
Okay. A la One Direction style.
Yes, One Direction-esque. But they're really good. They've got some really good harmonies. They came and did the Chris Young bits on Famous Friends.
Oh, that must have been cool.
It was really good. They thought they sounded really good together, for them, because he actually used to work. I don't know if they originally the four of them were put together, or he worked with them for a bit and then decided to go off on his own. But they've had quite a history together. Like it's all very amicable, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they really bounced off each other. They sounded really good. And I think I'm hoping they'll come back and do some more stuff here, because I think they were really, really, really good energy. And the standout for them was On My Way, which is their current single. Yeah.
Nice. I have a little suggestion to make.
Mm-hmm.
Editorial notes in the live area.
Yes.
If I finish off with the one I was going to do next from Celtic Connections, we were just discussing before going live about actually doing a live roundup of C2C in a couple of weeks. So shall we save the last three gig reviews after this one for our April episode, because the only thing we're going to in March is C2C?
Yes.
And then we've got plenty of time, and we don't have to rush those last three, because I don't think it's fair.
No, I agree. I think so. I know one of them we already mentioned on this podcast.
Yeah, it was Kelsea Ballerini. That's the last gig we've been to. So we'll save that for the beginning of April when we do our March episode.
Yes.
It'll be a little delayed, but I think it'll be better to give them the focus that they deserve.
I agree. Yeah.
So I'm going to finish off with genuinely the best live gig I've ever been to. And I don't think it will be topped ever, if I'm honest. It was the most spiritual, magical gig of my life. I went to go and see Violet Bell, Elisa Amador, and Emily Scott Robinson in the Macintosh Church in Glasgow as part of Celtic Connections Festival. So Celtic Connections is a traditional music festival, usually focusing on kind of Gaelic music, not only sung in Gaelic languages, but people who take a lot of influence from Gaelic culture. But they have started branching out to feature other traditional types of music. So they have a lot of world music involved as well. And therefore, these three artists are more kind of American folk artists than strictly country. But they do definitely cross over into that country feel, especially Emily Scott Robinson. So she was the biggest name on the list, but I am going to talk about each of them individually because they didn't do it as like two support acts and Emily Scott Robinson. It was very much three co-headliners who then actually came together at the end for something really special. So Violet Bell went first. They are a duo made up of Lizzie Ross and Omar Ruiz Lopez. Lizzie has some of the best vocals I have ever heard in my life. She was stunning. She has a real haunting quality to her voice. It is beautiful. And we will say more about why the hauntingness in that church was particularly great when they all come together at the end. Omar is a multi-instrumentalist. He played piano, guitars, fiddle, banjo. He might have played a mandolin. Can't remember. He played everything. He has
Love
a
stuff.
real kind of like quiet, understated grace to him. He just seemed genuinely lovely. And especially when the three ladies were singing together in the bits that they come together, like his music was what was really bringing that together, but he was making sure that he wasn't the focus and stuff like that. It was really lovely. But when they're a duo, obviously he had a lot more involvement. They sang a mix of traditional American folk music and UK folk songs. They actually have a really cool song about kelpies, which is obviously a Scottish mythical creature. So singing it up in Scotland, they were like, this is like a dream for us. So it was their first time performing in Scotland. They were just lovely. They just have beautiful voices. We previously talked about a band called Native Harrow who supported Kendall Marvell last year, and we said how dreamy they were. Very similar, very dreamy feel to them, but some of the lyrics are actually really quite deep and haunting as well. But it sounds like you're just living on a cloud. It's great. Elisa Amador sings kind of, it is not poppy at all, but that kind of little fun element of pop is mixed into this traditional music, which is very Latin influenced because she has a lot of Latin heritage. I can't remember exactly where she comes from. I think it was Puerto Rico. I feel awful saying that. I can't remember, but it was nearly 2 months ago now. Again, she has an exquisite voice. She played one of the most beautiful sounding guitars I have ever heard. I know nothing about guitars. I can tell you it was a nice green colour. Don't ask me what it was, but it was beautiful tone. And she played it so well. She was so good. I just liked how playful her storytelling was. She had a song that was about struggling to get out of bed in the morning and hating time. It was great. No, not hating time, sorry, hating clocks. It was great. She just did everything with an ease that I really liked. She was just so sweet and fun. And again, beautiful voice. And then Emily Scott Robinson, who Laura knows I am such a big fan of Emily Scott Robinson. I went on a 3-night, 700-mile round trip to go to this gig because I like Emily Scott Robinson. And I'm not trying to like show off about that. I just saw it, and when it's on a Saturday night, we love going to Scotland. So my parents came and my husband, and we kind of all did our different things, and we went to these gigs and stuff. We made a weekend of it, went to 2 other gigs too. But she was the reason we went. If she wasn't playing, I don't think I'd have even looked at it this year anyway. I've always wanted to go to Celtic Connections too. She is one of the most talented songwriters of this generation, and I will terribly fight people who say that because I'm 5 foot tall and scared. But she's amazing. And she has recently been signed to John Prine's record label. So I'd say that it's not just me who thinks she's pretty good. The emotion that she brings to songs. You said Kelsea Ballerini's EP is like a gut punch. Some of her songs literally punch you. It's so emotional. Her songwriting is just exquisite. I've never heard somebody make storytelling so detailed, I would say. She has a voice like crystal. Oh, she's just stunning. I've run out of ways to describe how good she is. My absolute favourite song of hers is called The Time for Flowers. I actually found that I shared about that song 2 years ago today because I saw some daffodils coming out. And it's all about, she wrote it during the pandemic, and it's all about finding hope after difficult times. And I think we all had our own ways of having the pandemic get to us. And so this was towards the end of the 3rd lockdown in the UK. I went for a walk and I saw these daffodils, and it reminded me of that song. And hearing her sing it in the acoustics of that beautiful church in Scotland, I just sat there silently weeping. It was a moment I will never, ever forget. It was amazing. And very quickly, they came together to perform Macbeth-inspired songs in Scotland. It was just the perfect setting for it. In a church, in a dark church, in the middle of winter. Like, it was amazing. So a couple of years ago, Emily Scott Robinson got commissioned to write some music for a performance of Macbeth that was taking place in Telluride, where she lives in Colorado. And she'd previously, fairly recently, met Violet Bell and Elisa Amador and asked them to come on board. And they made a 6-song EP. And what sets it apart is it's written from the point of view of the women in the story. So it's written from the point of view of the witches and Lady Macbeth in different songs. And the setting was obviously just perfect for it. I said about Lizzie's haunting vocals in the Violet Bell bit. She went to town. She was doing all of this incredible harmony, like when they were doing the witches bit, like almost screaming, but in the most beautiful way, if I can make that sound beautiful. But the harmonies and like vocal gymnastics she was doing in the background to that were just insane. And they just sung around one microphone together. They just stood there. Omar Ruiz Lopez was playing and they were just singing the most amazing 3-part harmonies I've ever heard. It was so good. Emily Scott Robinson is coming to Long Road Festival. I about jumped out of my seat with excitement when I read her name on the list. If you can see her at the Long Road, if you've already got tickets or you're planning to go, I cannot recommend her enough. And I really hope she's on Front Porch, which is the really chill stage with the haystacks. And
no, I would echo all that. I got to see her very briefly at Americana Fest that week, and she brought the Violet Bell guys up on stage with her, and they did some of the songs from Macbeth, and it was just, she's so good. Like, I genuinely wish she'd had longer than like a half-hour set, because she deserved it, quite frankly. And I'm so happy she's coming to Long Road. So yeah, I would echo every word of that, and I'm very jealous you got to do that.
It was amazing. I'm going to add quite a few of their different songs to the playlist, because obviously it was this co-headline situation. Old Gods is stunning. One of my favourite songs by her is a complete gear change from like the Macbeth stuff. It's one called White Hot Country Mess, and it's just about being a woman on the road having to like dry shampoo and double espresso it up to get through tour life. It's so funny. It's so fun. She played it that day. And just very quickly, I'm not going to talk about the shows because we'd be here forever, but I also got to see Robert Vincent, Mary Chapin Carpenter, Beth Nielsen Chapman, and Sierra Hull across 2 different other shows that we watched that weekend. And I can say they were the most country out of the other people that I saw. And I would say that if you ever get to see them, do, because they were all fantastic. Sierra Hull is a multi-instrumentalist bluegrass artist, and she was just amazing. But yeah, we really enjoyed Celtic Connections. So I think we've already discussed about maybe going back next year. So
yeah. All right.
So we're going to save the others. I think that brings us pretty much to the end.
Yes.
So some more kind of, we won't go into this level of detail at the end of every episode, but you can find us on social media. Just search Country Monthly. We should come up, or just at Country Monthly. It should bring you up. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have very recently entered the world of TikTok, and I don't think we'll open a TikTok account, but you never know, you might find us on there badly line dancing one day. Laura doesn't look happy about that suggestion. I don't think we'll be badly line dancing, but there is quite a lot of good content on TikTok. It turns out the country music underground artists are using TikTok to their advantage. So
yes, they are.
They really are. If you are on TikTok, go find country music on there. It's great. If you're interested in us considering your music for this, because we have there's no rules about whether you're a signed artist or anything like that. We've featured completely unsigned people on here when we used to do it previously. We've actually got one that's been sent to us that we are considering for a new music Monday in a couple of weeks. Hey, Connie. We have an email address, so we'll pop it in the descriptions and the show notes, however you're listening to this. So yeah, just drop us an email, tell us about yourselves, and we're not going to make any promises that just because you've emailed us we'll feature you. We have a lot of stuff to get through. We don't feature everything. But we're definitely interested to hear from people.
Yeah, definitely.
And there are links in the description or the show notes, depending on how you're listening, to all the artists that we've talked about tonight. That'll take you to YouTube videos, and we've said about the playlists on Apple and Spotify. I have a horrible feeling I didn't update the Apple playlist the other day, so I'm going to do that now with the other stuff and this stuff. So there's links to the playlists in the show notes. So check them out. That's where you can hear all our content, because we are not licensed to play any tracks in the actual podcast themselves.
Unfortunately.
Do you want to tell us what we're going to do for C2C?
Yes, I do. So for C2C, we are going to do a beginner's guide, which is going to be on Instagram Live. So that'll be the Friday morning before everyone gets there, but when all the stages are set up. We are going to also possibly do another Insta Live with the two of us while we're there from Town Square. And there was a third thing and I've forgotten because I'm...
the countdown's currently going on.
Yes, we have countdowns on our Twitter and Instagram, and I think on our Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Basically previewing our 10 favourite artists. Oi! You can't get it! Sorry, she's trying to drink the water out of my glass. But yeah, so we have countdowns in the run up to C2C with the artists that we're most looking forward to hearing and seeing there. It's a really range of people that are on. This is people again. It's focusing on the pop-up stages, but there's loads of really good people on there. Unfortunately, we did have to take out LV Shane because he's now not playing, which we're both very sad about.
You say we have to take out. I actually need to pick another artist and do that tonight. I haven't decided who I'm going to replace him with yet.
Yeah, but but keep an eye on that. If you want some ideas of who to see on the pop-up stages in the daytime before the arena show is proper, and I think that's it for C2C stuff. But
I'd just say that the countdown started on Monday, just gone.
Yes.
And will run up until next Wednesday. So the final post will come out on the Wednesday because the songwriter starts on the Thursday night. Yeah.
And we will be around at C2C all weekend. So if you see us, please come say hi. And
come say hi. We're really excited. Somebody messaged us once being like, I think I saw you at a gig, but I was too nervous to say hi. And I'm like, oh, you should have done. I say that as if we're like super famous. We're not. We just like chatting to people. So
and we probably won't shut up if you start talking to us either, as evidenced by the last just over an hour.
I was going to say I think we have got it in just over an hour here though, which saying that we've had to kind of intro and move to YouTube and everything, I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah.
We, as we said, doing our editorial decisions on live stream. Not live stream. That's a sort of
live recording as live.
We're going to do a separate country to country roundup. So we keep mentioning C2C, country to country. It is a festival. It is taking place not this weekend, the one after, at the O2, the OVO Hydro Arena in Glasgow, and the 3 Arena in Dublin.
Yeah.
And in the one at the O2, there's lots of small stages as well that get artists on during the day. So that's what our beginner's guide will be about. It'll be kind of like if you're in London, it's a bit overwhelming. There's all these people at all these same times. Who do I go see? How does it work? Where are all these places? So we're going to go do a video about that. I don't think it'll be a live video. I think it'll be one that we record and put out.
Yes.
To just show you where everything is and how it works with the daytime stages, because some of them are free. So if you haven't got tickets for the festival, there are 3 stages that you can just turn up to the O2 and watch. So
yeah, and there's some really good people on those stages, like including some of the names, the big names that are going to be in, like the on the spotlight stage in the arena, and in the
isn't it like
stages to go and kind of
Randall King, who is one of the sorry, that was an alarm on my phone. Randall King, who is like one of the hottest names in Texas country music at the minute, is on one of the free stages. Like,
it makes sense. Yeah.
So we'll post more about that on our social media and stuff like that too. So there will be that video. I'm afraid we can't really do it until the Friday morning, which may feel like a bit late if you're already on your way. But I don't know, watch it on the train on the way down that morning or something. But we need to be there to film it, and we're not there until the Thursday. So there's no point in us rocking up this weekend and filming it because half the stages won't be built and all of that. So But we're hoping that you can get there and you'll be like, okay, let's quickly watch this and find out what is going on. And then it should set you up for a good weekend. Just be prepared. It's a marathon, not a sprint. If you're C2C first timers, you still need some energy for Sunday evening.
Yes.
I nearly made that mistake last year.
Yeah. And wear shoes you can run in is my advice.
Oh God, yeah. Shoes you can run in and be prepared for a lot of standing up during the day. But it is worth it. It's 100% worth it. Long Road lineup came out the other day and tickets go on sale tomorrow. So if you're watching this and it's Friday, buy your Long Road tickets because that is an equally brilliant festival. It's an outdoor festival in Leicestershire in summer. And Drake White tickets are on sale tomorrow. He's coming back for a UK tour.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing. Oh, Zach Bryan has a balloting system for his tickets. I would say controversial is the word to describe it. I personally think it's quite a good way to do it. But his registration for that to be entered into the ballot closes on Sunday the 5th of March. So if you are listening to this between the Thursday that it's hopefully going out that night and Sunday the 5th of March, you still have time to register to the ballot. The gigs are only next month though. They're like the middle of April.
Yeah, that's what I need to do after we come off this is my registration to the Zach Bryan ballots.
Oh, have you not done it? I've done mine. So I was like,
I didn't have time. I ran out of time at work.
And it also doesn't matter how quickly you register. It's completely randomized. So you can register like last minute on the Sunday. And as long as you register in time, you're at no disadvantage to the people that registered as soon as the link went out today. So I think that's everything. We've done pretty well to only go like 7 minutes over the hour, I think.
All right.
It bodes well for next time when we won't have as much stuff at the beginning and end. And yeah, we will hopefully see you online somewhere. Maybe see you on Instagram. Maybe see you at C2C. That would be really exciting.
It would.
One day we'll walk around with one of those cheesy like Instagram frames, but not this year.
I was going to say t-shirts, but you know.
Oh, you've gone a bit crackly. We couldn't hear you. Can't hear you at all now. Can you lean a bit closer?
Better?
Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I was going to say we can get t-shirts, but that might be a bit too far.
Yeah, maybe not next year.
See a face that indicates no.
Maybe not next year. I meant maybe not this year, but maybe next year we'll walk around in some kind of t-shirt so you can spot us. But nah, I like my country fashion too much to wear the same branded t-shirt 4 days in a row.
Country fashion, I just have. Who am I seeing and what C2C shirt are they on the back of?
Yeah, Laura's very much like band t-shirts all the way, whereas I'm like, oh, I bought this pretty thing from a country brand I like. So that is it. We will leave you. If you want any further info, it's probably in the notes below. And we will see you in a couple of weeks when we do a big roundup of everything that we loved about C2C. Bye. I don't know how to end this now. I'm just going to say bye and wave.
Yeah, I think we'll just do that. So yeah, we will hopefully see you on our socials or at C2C. But if not, we hope you've enjoyed the podcast and we will see you next time.